Good morning, Bulldogs. Happy Monday. It's May 4th, 2020. Before we start, I'm going to give you a little on this day, something you may wish to put on your timelines, especially if you haven't put anything on them in a while. So May 4th, 1970 was the Kent State shooting, sometimes referred to as the Kent State Massacre. There is an article today on New York Times. It's an opinion piece about how these Kent State shootings changed America. You may have seen this picture on the right. It was a Pulitzer Prize award-winning picture. I can't remember the name of the photographer in a minute, but I'm sure you can find it on this article. But this photo is unfortunately of a teenage girl mourning over the body of a dead college student. This was during the Vietnam tensions in the United States. Kent State is in Ohio. Students were protesting that there still was not a declaration of war against Vietnam and now Cambodia. The mayor called in the National Guard. The National Guard, remember, are just about the same age of these college students who were, I guess you can call lucky enough to not have been drafted. These National Guard students were not, National Guard members were not drafted, however, either. There's a lot to unpack of this story. Unfortunately, like things happen now, this story was very much politicized, with conservatives supporting one side and liberals supporting another. But as a good historian and studier of political science, you should be able to understand, or at least acknowledge, both sides of the story and do realize that, whether it's the deaths of Americans in Vietnam, that was tragic, so were the deaths of these college students. So feel free to go through this. You can learn about the 4 students who were killed. The song that I've been playing is 4 Dead in Ohio about this. This was by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. So besides today being May 4th and people nerding out on Star Wars, please realize also the historical significance of this day. I came and stopped at Kent State a couple years ago, since I did go to grad school in Ohio recently, not at Kent State, but I would stop there on my way back and saw where this occurred. Now, there was supposed to be a large remembrance today for the 50th year anniversary, something actually I was hoping to attend ever since I visited here, but obviously with social distancing in place, this will not happen. So, that photo you just saw of the college student deceased in the parking lot? This is where his body lay. And so they did not just get rid of the parking lots, but where the 4 students were killed, there are these lights that surround it. That was my minivan at the time. I liked that minivan. So I parked there and could walk around, and there's like a little tour you can take. There's also a civil rights museum that was closed at the time of day I got there. So you see this, if you saw the red car in this picture, you see here one of those memorials where you cannot, of course, park, and people leave little mementos, rocks and coins there. This is where the soldiers sort of came up as a hill, and then if you went to the other side, you'd see like this if you look down. Here is a statue, if you can see here, or some sort of art piece, and you can see where one of the bullet holes went through, and that remains there to this day. So, like I said, you can still enjoy your Star Wars, but take a minute and learn about what happened here 50 years ago today. All right, so other stories from the New York Times. Trump is accusing China of a cover-up, stating that, they didn't let us know as bad as it was. I was reading that, there's some evidence to suggest that. However, there's also Trump and Secretary of State Pompeo complaining that China started this virus in a lab. Right now, our intelligence agencies are saying we have no evidence of that. Go ahead and take a read, see what you think. Today is a big day for the Supreme Court, especially if you think you might want to take U.S. Gov someday, AP government. Look at C-SPAN at some point today. The Supreme Court is going to teleconference, if you will, parts of its arguments. This is the first time this has ever happened. So that's a pretty significant deal. So check that out. And just another article about the economic concerns that J. Crew files for bankruptcy. It's the first big retail company filing for bankruptcy. And if you're having a birthday, the Times suggests maybe you should have a coronavirus piñata. You can't have friends over, but maybe it will help you get out some of your aggression. All right, the BBC News. Italy is relaxing its lockdown as the number of deaths begin to fall there. Our president is warning of a potential 100,000 deaths still in the United States. Right now we have over 68,000, and about 7,800 of them are from New Jersey alone. It says that passengers, there's still not many passengers on planes. If you've noticed overhead, have you noticed less planes in the sky? Normally we see a lot going to Newark Airport, but they're told to wear masks now as well. This photo is from Russia, if you can recognize the architectural style. And they now have 2 days in a row of 10,000 reported cases. So it did not seem to be much of a concern yet in Russia, but it is now a concern there as well. All right, so for today's plan, now I did not put myself in today's video, my mug, for a few reasons. One, because you'll get to have to look at me, or well, you don't have to, but you may look at me while I read today's lesson. Also because when I covered the memorial in the beginning, it just seemed wrong to have my face there in the corner. But today we're going to be learning about the jungle. So we did some reading on Hard Times. This will be a jungle, which is based out of the United States, written by Upton Sinclair, about the meatpacking industry in the Midwest. Now, if you go to the directions, you'll see I include a background video. If you're like, there's just too many videos to watch to do our assignment, I know my kids have to watch like a million videos before they do their assignments every day. If you're like, no, that's too much, you don't need to watch it. You can take from it just from what I'm telling you here. It's about the meat packaging industry in America. It's not a bad idea to, get the background, but, I'm not going to question you on it. To get a 4 on today's assignment, you'd want to watch the background video because you'd want to incorporate some of that information. But remember, if you do everything else perfectly and you get a 3, it's still a 90. So it's totally your call. That video, the background video, is from like 5 years old. It's from my old YouTube video at my old district. You'll hear my children are much younger in the background. Okay, so then I provide on the directions a video of me reading passages of 2 chapters of The Jungle. It's shorter than the Hard Times video I left you with. My daughter did make some illustrations that she shares with you during the reading. And you have 2 options. Your goal is that it should reflect more work than my daughter's illustrations did. All right. You can either create a comic strip or graphic novel, and the directions of how to do that are provided on Canvas. You want at least 3 frames in your storyboard. You can draw it. You can do it online. There's also templates online for comic strips and storyboard makers. Feel free to use them as well. If you're not feeling visually creative, you can do a journal, and it tells you exactly what you would write there as well. Here's another idea. Everyone's doing these chalk drawings. If it's safe for you to go outside and it's a nice day and you want to creep out your neighbors and do your graphic novel / comic by chalk on a sidewalk, go for it. All right, now next class when we meet, it will be your assessment. It will be our first test type assessment since we've been home. It is not a test. You don't need to study for it. It's just going to make sure you understand the material we've been covering. You, of course, have all the time and resources you have at home to complete it. So don't stress about it. Just know that that will be coming next class. Okay, so before we go, I do have a warning for you. I said today it's about the meatpacking industry. So you may see here this hog, right? And it's about the conditions that the workers faced. As you can see, that's probably not the nicest place to work. It looks hot and steamy. And is it clean? It looks dark. But also, how were these animals treated and how were they served? Were you getting quality meat? Were you getting meat that was moldy or had rat poop in it or maybe even human remains? So I advise you to not listen to this right after you ate or right before. Don't be snacking on a Slim Jim or a big hunk of ham. All right. Every year, someone says they became a vegetarian after this. And if we were in class, there's a lot of other activities we would do with this. We would look at the meatpacking industry today. Ask the sophomores last year who learned how chicken nuggets are made, and some of them said they'll still eat chicken nuggets, but you know. All right. So once again, it's my video. You don't need to look at it. I want you to try to save your eyes. You can just play it and listen. So feel free to do that as well. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'll be around today to answer them. This is Monday, so remember it's due by the end of the day, Tuesday. Okay? I hope all is well. Miss you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and be safe and be well. All right. Go Bulldogs.